He made his first million at 31, not in crypto, not in tech, not because he had a trust fund or a genius idea or a lucky break. He did it quietly, working a regular job, living in a regular apartment, driving a 7-year-old Honda Civic. And when someone finally asked him what his secret was, what he did differently from everyone else around him, he said something nobody expected. He said, "I stopped trying to make money. I started building habits that made money inevitable." There are 7 habits, specific ones that don't show up in the generic listicles or the LinkedIn posts or the personal finance subreddits. I've spent years studying them, and the most unsettling thing I found is that none of them are about money at all, not really. I'll tell you what connects all 7 of them, but not yet. First, you need to understand why everything you've been told about building wealth has been quietly working against you. By the time we're done here, you won't just know what the wealthiest people do differently. You'll understand why, and more importantly, you'll see exactly where the gap between you and them actually lives. It's not where you think it is. Habit 1. They protect their attention like a bank account. Walk into the home of almost any genuinely wealthy person, not celebrity wealthy, not lottery wealthy, but quietly, structurally wealthy, and you'll notice something missing. Their phones are not on the table. Notifications are off. The news is not running in the background. This is not accidental. It is policy. The average adult consumes over 4 hours of passive media a day. 4 hours. That is a part-time job you're handing to people who are monetizing your distraction. The wealthy understand something that sounds obvious until you really sit with it. Attention is the only truly non-renewable resource. You can make more money. You cannot make more Monday mornings. And every hour your mind is occupied with someone else's content, their drama, their agenda, that is an hour your own wealth-building thinking didn't happen. The 1% don't just manage their money, they manage their mental bandwidth, because they know that no financial strategy outperforms a distracted mind. Habit 2, they make decisions in advance. Here is a counterintuitive thing about wealthy people. They make fewer financial decisions than poor people do. Not because they have less to decide, because they've already decided. Their rules are built in advance and calm with a full stomach and a clear head. I invest 20% before I see the money. I don't buy anything over $500 without a 48-hour pause. I don't touch the emergency fund for anything that isn't actually an emergency. The brilliant insight in Daniel Kahneman's work on decision-making is that our brains have 2 systems: the fast, emotional, impulsive system, and the slow, rational, deliberate one. Most people make their biggest financial choices with the fast system, in the dealership, at the checkout, mid-argument. The wealthy have already made those choices with the slow system in advance and locked them in so the fast brain never gets a vote. Willpower is a terrible wealth strategy. Automation is better. Systems are better. Pre-commitment is better. Willpower runs out. Structure doesn't. Habit 3, they are obsessively long-term, about everything. Drop a comment below if you've ever made a financial decision that felt good in the moment and terrible 6 months later. Every single person watching this has, because short-term thinking isn't a moral failing, it's a human default. Our brains were built for predators, not compound interest. Urgency feels real. 30 years from now feels abstract. The wealthy have trained themselves, genuinely trained, not just intellectually understood, to feel the future as viscerally as the present. A 33-year-old product manager named David put it this way: "Every time I'm about to spend money impulsively, I ask myself which version of me is making this call, the one who's going to be dead in 60 years or the one who wants to feel good in 60 seconds." That sounds extreme, but it works. Because when you start making decisions for the person you're becoming instead of the mood you're currently in, everything changes. Jeff Bezos built his entire decision-making framework around what he called the regret minimization framework. Imagining himself at 80, looking back. It's not a metaphor, it's a literal tool. The wealthy use the future as a compass, not a fantasy. Habit 4, they treat learning as a line item. Warren Buffett reads 5 to 6 hours a day. Charlie Munger called himself a book with legs. Bill Gates takes 2 think weeks a year. No meetings, no calls, just books and thought. This is not a coincidence or a personality quirk. It is a strategic allocation of time and money toward the most asymmetric investment that exists, your own understanding of the world. Most people treat learning as something that happens when they have extra time. The wealthy treat it like a utility bill, non-negotiable, scheduled, and paid before anything else. And it compounds exactly the way money does. One insight from one book can change a decision worth $100,000. One idea absorbed from one conversation can redirect a career. The return on intellectual investment is incalculable, which is precisely why most people never bother to calculate it. You will be paid in direct proportion to the value you create. You will create value in direct proportion to what you understand. So, the question is never, can I afford this book? It's, can I afford not to read it? Habit 5. They build identity around production, not consumption. This is the psychological one, the one that sits underneath everything else. There are two kinds of people in every economy: those whose primary relationship with money is spending it, and those whose primary relationship with money is deploying it. Consumers, producers. And the difference isn't income, it's identity. A first-generation immigrant who builds a $4 million dry cleaning business in 12 years doesn't do it because she's smarter than her neighbor. She does it because, at some fundamental level of self-conception, she sees herself as someone who builds things, not someone who acquires things. That identity shapes every decision she makes: what she does on weekends, who she calls, what she reads, what she does with the first $5,000 of profit. The wealth habit here isn't a behavior, it's a becoming. The question worth sitting with, and this one's going to stay with you, is this. When you picture your ideal life 5 years from now, are you buying things or are you building things? Your honest answer will tell you more about your financial future than any spreadsheet. Habit 6. They monetize their reputation before their resume. Here's what nobody teaches you about how wealthy people actually create opportunities. They don't apply for them, they attract them. There is a subtle but enormous difference between someone who is good at what they do and someone who is known for being good at what they do. The wealthy invest early and heavily in becoming the second person. That might mean writing publicly, speaking on stages they don't get paid for, sharing their thinking in places where the right people will encounter it, not because they're self-promoters, but because they understand that reputation is the most durable asset you can build. A good reputation compounds, generates referrals, lowers the cost of trust in every transaction, and survives market crashes. Your resume tells people what you've done. Your reputation tells people who you are. The wealthy build the second one first. Habit 7. They are comfortable with discomfort permanently. Every wealthy person I've ever studied has one thing in common that never shows up in the highlight reel. They have an unusually high tolerance for sitting with uncertainty, for making bets that might not pay off for 3 years, for taking positions that nobody around them understands yet, for being wrong publicly, for not knowing. The 99% make financial decisions to reduce anxiety. The 1% make financial decisions in spite of it. They've built a relationship with discomfort that isn't heroic. It's just practiced. Like a muscle trained slowly over years of small, voluntary exposure to hard situations. Launching the product before it's perfect. Investing in an asset nobody else was buying. Saying no to the salary and yes to the equity. Every one of those decisions was uncomfortable. Every one of them compounded. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is almost always paved with things that made someone else flinch. Now here's the thing I promised you at the beginning. The thing that connects all 7 habits. Because on the surface they look different. Attention management, long-term thinking, identity, reputation. But underneath all of them is the same root. Every single one of these habits is about delayed gratification in disguise. Not the boring, white-knuckle version where you deprive yourself and suffer. The sophisticated version, where you have genuinely reordered what feels good to you. Where protecting your attention feels better than scrolling. Where investing feels better than spending. Where building feels better than buying. The wealthy are not more disciplined than everyone else. They have simply restructured their reward system. They have learned, through exposure, through environment, through identity, to find the future more pleasurable than the present. And that is learnable. It is a skill. It is not a personality type you either have or don't. You don't need more willpower. You need to want different things. And the surprising truth is that wanting different things is a choice you can start making right now. The man in the Honda Civic, the one I told you about at the start, he didn't make his million because he sacrificed everything. He made it because he slowly, quietly fell in love with the process of building. The discipline stopped feeling hard because it stopped feeling like discipline. It just became who he was. That is available to you. Not next year. Not after the promotion or the raise or the better circumstances. Now, with the income you have, in the city you live in, with the life you're already living. The habits are the vehicle. You don't need a new destination. You need a different way of traveling. Which of these 7 habits are you starting with? Drop it in the comments. And if you're already practicing one of them, tell me how it's changed things. I read every single one. And subscribe for more wealthy videos.